TMZ is reporting 3 new accusers against Diddy. But have you guys noticed they seem to be leaning more towards Diddy and Jay-Z? Well, YouTube sure is. We need to discuss. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and what a panel we have. It's Kim, and the dopest nerd just joined us, Natanya. Welcome. How you doing, Natanya?
Fantastic and spectacular, as always. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. I saw you watching our live. If you missed our live, you can now become a member on our Patreon, and I'm going to tell you why it's so important you join our Patreon. And now we're doing our recap, because there was a lot we went through, including these 3 new statements. But TMZ weirdly skipped one. We're going to come to there in a second. I don't want to bury the lead. There's an important thing here. Kim and I were talking earlier, Natanya, but it sure feels like as this Jay-Z story is developing, and granted, Jay-Z is innocent till proven guilty. He is, just like everybody else. We got to remind everybody and do that. It's important. However, there are definitely some questions that need to be asked and some stuff that's coming forward that seems a little strange. But TMZ's been out there, and I've noticed it, Kim. You were saying you did too. TMZ's been very pro Jay-Z and very anti-Tony Busby. It's very noticeable, and it's just similar to what they were doing to Britney Spears. They definitely have their favorites, and they do things that are it just seems like unethically, morally corrupt. My opinion, my conspiracy theory. And another example of it was this new case. They left out the details that one of them was his assistant, and a lot of really interesting details that I think are very valid, as Kim pointed out, and they did. But beyond just Jay-Z seemingly having TMZ in his potential back pocket, or at least his legal team, I'm here to warn you that it looks like YouTube is now doing it too. Now, I tweeted this out early this morning because I was having trouble with one of my videos. It was the breaking news alert about Jay-Z. And there's a lot of details that I went into the longer show. If you want to become a member, you can watch the replay over on Patreon, but I'll try to sum it up again a little quicker. The way it works on YouTube is if you post a video and it has something that they deem not appropriate for advertisers, they stamp it with a yellow $sign and they call it limited. Now, this isn't about money. I'm not about trying to make the money. It's about when the video gets limited, YouTube can't get as much advertising revenue, so they suppress the video. They don't share it as widely as the ones that they can make more ad revenue on. So the videos tend to always get more suppressed when a video is limited. I see it happen all the time. I've had videos that are skyrocketing and then boop, yellow sign comes in and then suddenly it just becomes more stagnant. It's just sadly the way YouTube works. And it sure feels like now, as I'm looking in my back door of my algorithm, my analytics, somebody seems to be using this for their advantage. And this was an example I want to spotlight you, and I have more evidence I'm about to present to you, but they basically, YouTube came back to me. Once they yellow you, you can challenge it, and then they give you a human reviewer who's supposed to actually look at it fairly. This human reviewer didn't do it. I say quotes in human reviewer because it's clearly still an AI person or somebody that's not really paying attention. And I put in here that, yeah, this was content that related to preventing controversial issues, which it is. Controversial issues mentioned fleetingly, non-graphic, non-descriptive. That's what it was. But they decided, no, you mislabeled it. Your video actually is content about controversial issues that are not visually disturbing, but contain descriptive language, dramatized, artistic, educational, yada, 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 of controversial, non-graphic, non-descriptive, but main topic related to child A, non-graphic, but descriptive content related to, look at those words, which it wasn't. This was literally just a video breaking down Jay-Z's, yes, there was a bad charge, but I literally blocked it out. I covered it. Is this the one? I think this is it. I literally blacked it out, as you can see here, with a highlight. And I didn't put it in the title. I made sure that none of those triggering words were put in the video. But YouTube has now deemed it limited. Here's the problem. They're doing it to now all my Jay-Z videos. As I share these the back end of what it looks like, these yellow dollar signs are limited. The ones that are green are regular. And look at this. Now, 3 big Jay-Z videos suddenly have just gotten stagnant, almost as if like somebody mass reported it. But if you're thinking, Andy, no, it's just the topic. It's about kids. That's why it's dangerous. I want you to look at this next topic. Underage, green. Breaking allegations, 10-year-old, green. Shocking judge grants gag order, green. Diddy freak off tapes revealed, show, green. So when it's Diddy and kids, we're cool. When it's Jay-Z, we got to stop that down. We got to, whoa. Not Jay-Z. This is crazy. Now, again, this is my theory. This is my thought, but I share the evidence with you, Exhibit A, because this looks friggin' shady. This looks super sketchy. This looks like some shenanigans, like some sort of potential legal team or somebody that's very good at their job. Some sort of purple dragon, maybe somebody out there who's really good at what they do realize, can I weaponize the YouTube limited system to try to suppress my clients' videos so they don't get as much traction and use the sort of arbitrary rules to sort of try to get through it? Panel, I go to you and I want to hear from you first, Natanya. Am I crazy? Have you noticed this? And does this look wild to you?
Crazy at all. I have some yellow dollar signs as well for my Jay-Z.
Around Jay-Z?
Yep.
Now, did you have the greens during Diddy?
Yeah, I still have the greens.
So it's Jay-Z now is what's suddenly getting stopped up.
Yep. And I challenged mine today too.
And what? Get ready. The human reviewer is going to find some sort of arbitrary, well, you're talking about kids, so sorry. But it's like, I assume you're doing the same thing. You're not going into detail or saying the words, right?
I am meticulous with avoiding the fray. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And now, oddly enough, I had one on my Trump video as well. But I challenged it to the hill. And they came back a week later and said, after further review, you're right. It's fine.
Thank you because that's the problem. I've had others, and then that's what happens. But Jay-Z's aren't getting cleared. Nope. Sorry. Nope. They're not. And then I asked on YouTube, and then he just gave me the runaround. There's actually, you can see it here. One of their responses, blah, blah. I put it all out there, and the response... it's not, I don't know why it's not. Here it is. Thanks for reaching out. If you think our system made a mistake, then, submit a human review. It's like, they don't even read it. They don't even, it's hello. It's right here. Human review. Here it is. The human reviewer found. So they're not paying attention. And that's what's problematic for me is the fact that, Kim, I want to get you to chime in. This isn't about the money. Everyone's going to say, Andy, stop complaining. You're not making money. No. It's about suppressing the news and getting you the insight. That's what's scary. And if YouTube or some other high-powered lawyer, allegedly, or anybody can do that, well, then they can start censoring your news. And that's where it gets scary. Right, Kim?
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of ran into this a little bit last year when I covered a story actually about a YouTuber that was in hot water over the way that they had interacted with their young fans, even at like concerts and things like that, and sending them undergarments and things of that nature. And what literally ended up happening was if I said the person's name, limited. If I showed their face in the thumbnail, limited. It got to the point I started using a symbol to represent them in my thumbnail because it got so ridiculous. And literally we would be streaming. I would have my intro playing, just literally the stream is starting, limited.
You're talking about Ukulele Girl.
Yes. So I honestly got to a point where I had to get really, really careful with everything that I was saying about it. But I felt very strongly about talking about this issue. And I think it is important that we talk about these issues. And I learned a lot through that process. And every time I challenged, I won. But it got very frustrating because it was like my videos never got promoted. They were never like in recommended or anything like that because they got limited immediately because Correct. I was trying to raise awareness about this, and it was very frustrating. So I don't think that necessarily, like, maybe it is someone is upset about something and they've gone to YouTube about it. Maybe. I don't know. But at the same time, it also, is it an advertiser issue? And is this something that maybe YouTube needs to address? Because I think if people are hurting kids, we should be able to talk about it. Because
it could be that purple dragon. Anyway, so go ahead.
Another perspective to consider is it exemplifies exactly what I've said for the 25 years. They will continue to press down on you, punch down on you, harass you. The purpose is to make you tap out. I've lived it.
Yeah.
There is a million little cuts until, you're just leaking. And it's unfortunate because there are some people who are more resilient. We are more resilient. There are other people who may not be as resilient and they just quit and give up. And then it says another thing, you guys. It means your page is big and people are watching you.
It is a good sign that they are starting to pay attention. I do believe I've learned that through my various experiences in covering Johnny and elsewhere. It's true. Like we are lucky enough that we're getting seen as you have been because you've really been through it. They're terrified of you. But look, it's part of what's scary. And it's why earlier today we promoted it and I'm doing it again. join our Patreon if you haven't already. That's a way to do it off of YouTube. It's another way to get the alerts. They only take 5%, thankfully. YouTube takes 40% of all of our revenue. So if you join here, or super chat here, or anything you do through YouTube, they take a huge cut of our revenue. And so the Patreon actually is a way to support us monthly without that. So we get more of your support. But it's also, more importantly, as a way for us to be able to contact you and alert you, give you exclusives. Our uncensored shows every week will be uncensored tomorrow. If you've missed Popcorn Uncensored, it's fire. Kim and I go all off we join either here or there, and you'll be able to catch us live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. We'll be on Patreon as well, where we go uncensored. We don't worry about any of the filters or things. We just go where we want to go. But Patreon is just a really good way to support us, so we can alert you. If YouTube keeps going south, you can alert us there, and you can support us directly via that way and through our link tree, which has ways to support us, all other ways. Please follow us Instagram, Twitter, wherever you can. If you can't afford it, I understand. You can also join for free on Patreon. All the links will be pinned in the comment down below. So go to the pinned comment, click the link tree, support the Patreon, or go scroll down. You can Cash App, etc. Instagram, Twitter, all the ways to support us. And again, the reason why it's so important is as we get just getting started on this case, as we get to you, I want to make sure I can reach out to you. Now, that said, coming in real quick as we're recapping, 3 more accusers came in. Sadly, it's through TMZ and the filings aren't yet out, so it's hard to get in too much detail. But as TMZ wrote it, they're trying to make you think it's Tony Busby, but they're not. Right, Kim? There are some new lawyers that came forward, a new lawyer, New York lawyer, who came forward, and TMZ is trying to confuse matters, clearly. Similar stories, but they go through and sort of share some examples, but they failed to point out that, one of them apparently was his assistant, Diddy's assistant, who was in for unpaid wages and at a hotel where there could be hotel footage, other witnesses, and then there was intimidation afterwards, which you know about as well, Natanya. This case definitely had more details that they didn't want to share, because I do think TMZ is helping both Diddy and
absolutely.
Jay-Z. And it's very interesting that this is now coming in. On top of that, there was some more information about the notebooks. That seems like they finally agreed on some terms there on the committee, the filler team, but also Diddy got his laptop. That also happened today. He can get it 7 days a week, 8 to 3:30. I don't think he's going to be using it. I think he was just delaying things to try to get a laptop. And when he quickly realizes all it has is pre-labeled stuff that he's never going to read, he's probably like, why can't I go on the web? But it's clearly locked down and he can't share anything off it. But those are the latest updates, and we will give you more as it comes in. But I want to go back to you each during our recap. Kim, thoughts? What do you think about all this? Do you think this case is starting to get compromised?
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's not. I mean, it's entirely possible. I think what we're talking about today, it is our speculation, it is our opinion based on what we've seen. I would hope that we are not going to be censored in that manner. And I just want the truth to come out. I think that's the most important thing. And we try really hard here to make sure that we look at evidence, we look at legal filings, we look at all of those things to come to our conclusions, and also just to present it to our viewers. And you guys can make up your own mind. You don't have to think about things the way that we do. It's commentary. And I feel like we should have the right to commentate. That's my opinion. That's all.
I agree.
Natanya, is it compromised?
While I don't think it's completely compromised, I can see the slow trajectory in that direction. And that's why I, did the live I did today, asking content creators to exhibit a lot more self-control and tact and decorum in reporting the stories. Like, don't center yourselves and make yourself the story, because you lose sight of the victims. I've watched this occur 20-something years ago during the first trial, and yet here we are again. And now that social media is here, it's even worse. So I want people to just take a pause and think about the victims, keep the victims in mind.
Yeah, well said. There's a lot coming in throughout this case, and we were going to keep you privy to it all, but I am worried. We were talking about it earlier, and I'm curious while we discuss all of this, like, Busby isn't these, which is great, but Busby's also come forward now and said he's going to have 300 cases. Do you have concerns about that? Is that too much? Could he lose focus and actually represent those victims fairly if he has 300 of them and it's not a class action suit?
So you're 100% right. I actually said that in one of my earlier lives when this whole, hotline and all this came out. I said, it's ill-advised. It seems gimmicky. And I was a little suspect of him at first, because I said, what reasonably level-headed attorney would do something like that? It's like having too many kids. If you spread yourself too thin and you have too many kids and too many different mothers, somebody's going to lose out.
Yeah,
And
Nick Cannon.
There you go. If you water yourself down too much, you cannot give a good quality of life and interaction to each respective child as you should have. And so the same goes for the legal case. I think it would have been, now I do understand that there are a couple other law firms that are assisting, and I hope that they really like meted out to a bunch of different attorneys and help them grow, and he have an overarching look at the information rather than to just try to do all at the same time, because I think it's poor. It's a poor decision.
He probably a range of 300, but it could ultimately be about 100, 150. Yeah, it's interesting.
Still a lot.
It's still a lot. It worries me.
Yeah, my civil trial took 12 years to settle. So having that many trials, and I know how they operate. They will try to drag everything out because that's how they operate. 12 years to settle 3 cases. Myself and the 2 other gentlemen. And then in year 6, 3 additional women added themselves to the case, saying that they had gotten injured too. I don't even know where those women are. 3 additional women added themselves, and they said they kind of tripped and, things like that. But it's a slippery slope, and you can easily lose sight of the victims if you take on too much. And I just want them to think wise, because they are crafty. These guys are crafty, and they have a full machine behind them trying to make this go away. You see all the fray already, and we're just starting.
Yeah.
Well said. And there you go. We're wrapping up our live. It was a doozy. Make sure you go check out the full replay on Patreon. That's where the replays will now be. If you're a member on Patreon, you'll get it that evening or at least the next morning. The full 2.5 hour show. If you want to watch it, go check it out. That's where the replays will be. And Patreon will also be your second place to get notifications in case YouTube keeps being screwy. Please support your creators off platform, on other platforms. Support the dopest nerd. Get her to 10K subs. It's Kim. Get her to 30K subs. Support my friends, please. And if you haven't already, make sure you do it here. Hit the subscribe. And then when you do, hit the bell. So when you get those all alerts, you click the thumbs up when you get the alert and leave your comments down below. We'll be back again live tomorrow for Uncensored. In fact, I'll put it there. Watch it tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern. Join us live for Popcorned Uncensored. If you're a member, you're going to love it. It gets